Hey guys, JB making a quick video tonight. But first, I want to thank a few people. I went to my P.O. box today. There were a lot of letters and some nice donations in my P.O. box today. And I just wanted to thank a few people. I want to thank everybody, first off, for all the nice letters, for all the donations. There were a few people that stood out that I just wanted to thank. One of them being Ali in Nevada. I wanted to thank you for the cryptos. I want to thank Paul in Missouri. Thank you so much for the very generous donation. And I'd like to thank Christy out here in the desert who sent me a few of these really beautiful silver 1 ounce rounds. Johnson Maddie, I believe I'm pronouncing that right. Johnson Maddie silver rounds. Really nice. I really appreciate that. And I want to thank Christy also for the beautiful candle. We'll try to get that in a video shortly. But again, thank you everybody for the kind letters. Thank you for the donations. And to these three people, I want to thank you again for the very nice donations and the beautiful thoughts and prayers. So thank you very much for that. Wanted to discuss a few things this evening. China trade war. And I was talking to a friend of mine today. And what does the China trade war really mean? And we were discussing this. And what it really means is right now, as we're in this trade war with China, there may be a little less shit in your local dollar store. Now, what's it going to mean after the trade war is resolved? It's going to mean that there's going to be more shit at your dollar store. So I don't really know how much effect the trade war really has on the economy here in America, other than we're going to just see more garbage in Walmart and your local dollar store. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm not really seeing too much effects right now, other than it's going to be really good news for the stock market, and it's going to accelerate once it gets some more good news regarding the trade war. Once it's resolved, I'm sure we're going to see huge numbers in the stock market, on the Dow Jones. But what does it really mean? I don't know if it really has as much effect on our lives as most people are giving it credit for. Let's talk about some continued things we're going to see throughout 2019. One of those is going to be more bankrupt states. We're going to see a wave of people leaving these blue states, heading to red states. Look at New Jersey, New York, Washington, D.C., Illinois, California. These states are literally bankrupt. They have the highest taxes, the strictest gun laws, they have the most corrupt politicians, the worst job markets. Again, they're bankrupt. These states are literally, and let's include homeless, some of the highest homeless rates in these states. These states are literally banana republics. And what it's at least telling me, what it should tell you, is these socialist politicians, these socialist Democrats, this does not work. And people are going to figure that out. And that's why they're fleeing these states and heading towards Texas or Arizona or Florida, anywhere they can get opportunity. They're going to southern states and leaving these blue states for southern states, because at the end of the day, no matter what you believe, if you cannot have a job, if you cannot afford to feed yourself or feed your family, you're not going to stick around. And that's why we're seeing these mass exodus out of these states, because people are hungry to work and make being able to make a life for themselves and looking for opportunity and prosperity. They're not getting it in these democratic states or these democratic cities. They're getting more homelessness. They're getting more unemployment. They're getting more taxation. It does not work. These states are turning into a banana republic, and people are fleeing them. So big day today in California. Gavin Newsom was sworn in. He's our new governor. And he says he wants to make the California dream accessible for everyone. Now, let me tell you what that means. That means he wants the middle class and anybody with a job in California to pay for illegal aliens. That's what he means. He is a hardcore socialist. We're going to see a harder attack on the gun rights here in California. We're going to see more taxation, and we're going to see more illegal aliens flocking to California as skilled, educated people flee for their lives, flee for work, as we see more companies leave California in hopes of opportunity in other states. Chicago. So another socialist city. Chicago seized and sold nearly 50,000 cars over tickets since 2011. So what they did is they put a boot on your car if you have an unpaid ticket. If you cannot pay to have that boot taken off, they confiscate your car and then they sell it off. The proceeds don't even go to the debt that you had. So basically, these people are left now without a car, carless, and once you're carless, you become homeless. Chicago looks out for illegal aliens also. They continue to raise their real estate taxes in order to pay for the illegal aliens in Chicago. So you, the homeowner, you, the landowner in Chicago, get your taxes raised while the city is turning into a giant ghetto, while the city is a third world country in and of itself, while it's bankrupt. They raise the taxes on your property to pay for illegal aliens. They confiscate your car so you can't work, so you become homeless or jobless. This is not working. This is complete socialism, Marxism. We're seeing this happening in literally every major city across America. And it really makes you think, are these politicians really looking out for American citizens, or are they looking out for illegal aliens? Are they looking out to line their own pockets? They don't care. They obviously do not care about you. They don't care about the American citizen, the taxpayer. They just want the money and the power. More economic news. Last week, the Institute for Supply Management plunged from 59.3 to 54.1, the lowest print in manufacturing since 2016. Elevated prices and rising mortgage rates are keeping people sidelined. Pending sales in the West fell 8.9%. You got to ask yourself something. We have mortgage rates at about 4.5% right now. We have record, so-called record unemployment rates now. And so my question is, why aren't we seeing record-breaking home sales? Why aren't we seeing a repeat of 2005? Interest rates are low, 30-year rates are low, so-called lowest unemployment in decades. Why are we not seeing record-breaking real estate throughout the country? It's falling off of a cliff. It's slowing down. Prices are coming down. Properties are staying on the market longer. Listings are just piling up in all these major counties across America. And yet, we're supposed to have a robust, incredible economy right now, but people are sidelined because they cannot afford a house. And at 4.5%, it's pricing people out of these markets. So ask yourself, are things really as good as they're telling you? Money manager John Stack, this guy manages $1.3 billion for high net worth clients. He says that in 2019, he sees a bearish housing market. He said that in January, he warned rising mortgage rates would expose housing affordability, which it did. He talked about how home builder and mortgage stocks went up 80% in a year, and that investors once again had gotten over exuberant. Home purchase contracts were down 7.7% this November, and consumer confidence dropped in December. So this should tell you, when you look at money managers like this, when you look at statistics of what happened in November, what happened in December, this is kind of telling you, this is kind of setting a trend of where we're heading in 2019, because I haven't heard any great news other than we're in talks with China. And again, I don't understand how really, if that's going to have enough influence to really correct things in 2019. We have real estate falling off of a cliff. We have an auto market falling off a cliff. We have retail falling off a cliff. People aren't spending $1,100, $1,200, $1,300 on iPhones now. Reality is starting to sink in with a lot of people. I think reality is starting to wake a lot of people up that things aren't as good as they thought. People don't have any money saved up. People don't have a net worth. People keep acquiring more debt. People are using credit to live on. So things, I think, are heading in a negative direction, and we really better be preparing as people, as independent, free-thinking human beings. We better be preparing for a dark time ahead here in 2019. Market was up today about 98 points, so I think we're up about 200 points on the Dow Jones for this year, roughly around 200 points. Ask yourself again, here we are, January 7th, and we're up a couple hundred points when we have record-breaking unemployment. We have a record-breaking robust economy, yet the market is only up around a couple hundred points. If we dig a little deeper into things, nationwide, here in the United States of America, we saw and continue to see housing prices falling. We saw the weakest housing conditions in the last quarter of 2018, the lowest since 2008. If we see an additional 10% plunge in prices, we're going to see panic in the United States housing market. The question is, what tools does the government and central banks have, other than printing money and doing more quantitative easing, which is just going to wreck the US dollar? What tools do they have to pull us out of this abyss that we're falling into right now? We have literally still very low interest rates, 2.5%. They can't really drop them because we'll be at zero. We'll be negative. So what tools, what tricks do they have to pull us out of where we're at right now in these markets, especially in the real estate market? If we look at a few places, Hong Kong, values have plummeted 13 weeks in a row, the longest streak since 2008. Singapore, which is among the world's most expensive real estate, had its first decline in 6 quarters, the last quarter being 2018. Sydney is seeing its worst plunge since the late 1980s. From 2017 to 2018, home values had dropped 11.1%. Ask yourself, this is happening globally, not just here in the United States of America. Do you not think that the global economy is not going to have an effect here in America? Of course it is. Like, you can look at Deutsche Bank. If Deutsche Bank blows up, it's going to blow up Europe. We are going to feel the ripple effects here in America also. Remember, they are gigantic. They're much larger than Lehman Brothers was. If we see Deutsche Bank go up with trillions upon trillions of dollars in derivatives, we are going to get shook here in America. So there's a lot of hand grenades on the floor. There's a lot of black swan events that can take place. Right now, we are seeing multiple warning signs that there are dark times coming to the economy globally and right here in America. Be ready. I believe we're going to continue to see more market rigging in 2019, more market manipulation. Every time these markets start getting hurt, either Trump's coming out, the Federal Reserve's coming out, the media is coming out with some kind of good news. You know, the China trade war, China war is going to be quicker than they thought, or there's going to be a meeting, and immediately that good news is just enough to push these markets up. Or the Fed comes out and they come out with a dovish message, and so that's enough to push the markets back up. So all it's doing is really kicking the can down the road every time we get some bad news. And so as long as that good news pushes the market up, people immediately feel good. They forget about what just happened. They go back into the illusion that everything's going to be okay because, you know, yesterday we're down 500 or 600 points. Today we're up 700, 800, or 1,000 points. So everything's okay now. They forget about yesterday. And today, as long as the market's up, everything's going to be okay. Everything's been fixed. That's not true. The debt continues to grow, while each recovery, each one of these fake recoveries produces less and less organically driven growth. All it's doing is creating more wage inequality, and all it's creating is more people drinking the Kool-Aid, believing in the illusion that things are okay when they're being propped up, they're being artificially injected with good news, or they're being artificially injected with money. So we've got to let these markets play out. Otherwise, we continue to kick the can down the road. We continue to live in this illusion. We continue to not know what the real market values are of these companies, of these stocks, of these assets. So until we're until we're at a point where we're no longer going to influence these markets, manipulate these markets, we're living in a giant illusion. So what do we have to look forward to in 2019? Well, the tax cuts are fading. The trade war continues. Global growth is slowing down. Quantitative tightening, we're going to see more continued tightening here in 2019, and we're going to see a ton more debt added onto the debt we already have. The Fed and central banks continue coming to the rescue with positive words, as we just spoke about. But at the end of the day, liquidity is coming out of these markets, and the debt is growing out of control. And you better get ready. You better be prepared, because this is not going to end well here in America. It's not hard to believe why America is going down. Interesting article today on Zero Hedge. This kid, his name is Casey King. He's 34 years old. I don't know if you can see that. He's 34 years old, weighs 700 pounds. And the article goes on to say, this is your typical American. No self-respect, no discipline. He is what America has become: broke, lazy, dependent on free money. He can't stop eating, just like America can't stop consuming. He will eat himself to death, just like America will consume itself to death. So basically, this kid needs to go on a major diet like America needs to go on an economic diet. This kid is going to eat himself to death, and America is going to consume itself to death with debt. And so he has no control. The average American has no control. That's why they're broke. That's why they sit there and smoke marijuana all day, playing video games, playing fantasy football. They have no self-respect. Half of America, or more than half of America, is now obese. We're very dependent on pharmaceutical drugs. We are now in a place here in America that is so unhealthy. If you went back and looked at America 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago and compared it to how unhealthy we are today, it's frightening. But again, no self-respect. We're entitled. We have this entitlement mentality. We're unhealthy. We're lazy. We don't care. People go out to eat in their pajamas. They go shopping at their local stores in their pajamas. They don't care. This kid sits all day in bed playing video games, eating food. He doesn't care. And this is what America is becoming. It's consuming 5 hours of TV a day, being dumbed down with all this fake news and all this mainstream news that is just dumbing people down, turning them into zombies. We better get out of this matrix really fast, or China is going to take over the world. China is going to be the next empire. And you can thank America and the people in America who've just given up, who've just been allowed to be dumbed down and accepted it. Let me tell you, the Chinese are not living like that. They're living right now, preparing for tomorrow. They're buying gold. They're manufacturing. They're preparing for tomorrow. And if we as a country don't, we're going to be done. If America does want to turn around, it's going to have to go on a major economic diet. This country is 700 pounds. It's overweight. And if we don't go on a major economic diet right now, we're going to die as a nation. And, you know, when you go on a hardcore diet, when you're this obese as a nation, there's going to be massive pain to be felt. You know, when people cannot buy stuff that they want today, when they cannot use credit, when they can't buy stuff to impress people they don't even like. You know, when people are leasing cars to impress people they don't even know, when they're buying houses with 4 extra bedrooms so they can literally just have a house with 4 extra bedrooms that they're never going to use, when people just buy stuff to buy stuff that they don't even need, this is where we're at as a society. When people no longer can do that, when they no longer have credit, when they no longer can just have things today because they just want it, it's going to be painful. It's going to be painful for people in this entitlement mentality, in this entitlement society that we have, when they can't just drive the car that they want, they can't just live in the house that they want, they can't just buy the clothes that they want, because they have these plastic cards which allows them to live in this illusion, to live in this lifestyle that they can't really afford. And so we've been living on a credit card as a nation. People have been living way beyond their means. And in order to fix things, people are going to have to live in reality. They're going to have to live in their means, and they're going to have to give up something in their standard of living because we as a country cannot continue to be living on credit. We cannot continue to just print money and keep kicking these cans down the road. And again, people who just want to impress other people and they go into debt doing it. So if we're going to fix this country, we're going to have to go on a real hard economic diet where people just can't have things today. They can't just have things to impress people. They're going to have to live within their budget. They're going to have to live within their means. And if we don't do this, we are going to be doomed as a country. And China is waiting in the wings to take over. They really are. Ask yourself a serious question. Why would you be going out and acquiring debt right now? Why would you be going out, maxing out credit cards, buying stuff you don't really need? Why would you be buying or leasing a car just to impress people you don't even know? Buying a car you can't even afford, or leasing a car you can't afford. Why would you be buying a house you can't afford to impress people you don't know or people you don't like? Why are you buying stuff you don't even need? When the IMF warns the world is dangerously unprepared for upcoming global recession. Zero hedge today. U.S. services economy plummets in December. Zero hedge today. World's largest hedge fund manager sees dollar losing reserve currency status. Ray Dalio. Zero hedge yesterday. Indiana grocery store can't process food stamp payments due to government shutdown. So there's a store in Indiana. It was sold to a new gentleman. He bought the store, and now that the government's shut down, he cannot process his application for EBT and food stamps. So 16% of his business, 16% of his clients cannot shop at his store until the government reopens and he can have his new application processed. So it's officially frozen, and he cannot process any EBT there. So we have 42 million people on food stamps in this country. What's going to happen if this government is still shut down next month and they cannot make payments to EBT recipients throughout the country? Here now, where it starts getting a bit dicey, you will start seeing violence because people are going to be outraged. Okay, 42 million people on food stamps in this country. And really think about that. There was nowhere near this amount of people on food, in soup lines in the Great Depression. We have 42 million people that literally would be in a soup line right now, but they get a plastic card so they can go to Walmart and swipe it, and you just think that that's a credit card or an ATM card. So it's much more hidden today, but there are 42 million people dependent on the food system here in America. Otherwise, they would be standing in lines, soup lines, like they did in the Great Depression. So are things really, really that great right now? Ask yourself that. Why are you leasing a car you can't afford? Why are you buying a house you can't afford? Why are you buying shit that you cannot afford? These are not good signs. I'm still waiting to hear some really, really good news. The China trade war, if that gets resolved, okay, that's good news. But again, this is about debt and this is about interest rates. I don't really think the China trade war is as big of a deal as they're making it out to be. Again, you're buying shit cheaper at your dollar store. And if the trade war gets resolved, you're going to buy more shit cheaper at the dollar store. That's how I see it. Listen, I hope that we have a great 2019. But I'm also not stupid. I'm a realistic person. I can read. I see what's going on. I see the trend. And I think anybody with half a brain right now can see where this is all going. And for these people out here who go, God, I've been hearing about this for years, blah, blah, blah. Listen, I said that before 2008, and then 2008 happened, and it was a real mess. And it could have been a lot worse, and it should have been allowed to be a lot worse. We wouldn't be in the situation we're in right now. We are looking at a global economic collapse that could take place this year, next year, whenever. It's coming. And take every day that you have right now to be preparing for it, to be acquiring some wealth and some insurance to protecting yourself, like gold and silver. Yeah, people say you can't eat gold, you can't eat silver. Well, then keep stacking food and water. But what's going to happen when we get back to an economic system when the dust settles. We're not going to be in a global depression forever. And when you come out of a depression, a can of beans isn't going to be worth as much as it was when you were in a depression. You better be holding gold and silver, because when you come out of a depression or when you come out of a recession, you want to be holding real money. So, but I will tell you, if I have enough food and water, I will sell that food and water for gold or silver. So these people who say you can't eat gold or silver in a depression or a collapse, that's wrong. The guy that has a ton of food and water is always going to sell something for gold and silver. But don't rely on that happening. Be putting away your own food and water, be putting away your own gold and silver. But I think that we really have to be ready for anything. But you can't just prepare by putting food and water away. Too many people think, like, I just have to have guns and food and water. That's great for the time being when a collapse occurs, but be ready when you come out of the collapse so that you can prosper, so you've preserved and insured your wealth, so you can buy stuff after that. Again, that can of beans isn't going to be worth as much as it was when people were starving during a depression, during a collapse. When you come out of it, you want to be able to be ahead of the game. You want to be able to prosper and be able to buy stuff and take advantage of things with real money after the dust settles. So be prepared, be well-rounded. Food, water, guns, ammo, trauma, medical, gold, silver, whatever you need, whatever you can do to prepare yourself. And for the people out there, a lot of people think you have to have a lot of money. Listen, if you have a couple 100 ounces, 100 ounces of silver put away, a gun, 1,000 rounds of ammo, a trauma kit, a month of food, 2 weeks of food, you are ahead of the group, all right? You're better off than 99% of the people in this country. So set everything in your advantage. If you can buy an extra 2 coins this week or an extra 2 coins next week, do it. Take everything you can and put it to your advantage. If you could put a couple of cans of food away or order some dry food this week, do everything you can to put the odds in your advantage. It's all about putting the odds in your advantage financially, physically, spiritually. Right now, nothing bad has taken place. If you can get to the gym 2 days a week, 3 days a week, 5 days a week, whatever you can do, take advantage of the time and put the odds in your favor. Get in better shape. All right? Get faster, get leaner, put more food away, put more gold away, put more silver away, put a little bit more water away. Every little bit is going to give you the advantage. Guys, again, thank you for all the cards, the donations. Thank you for the subscriptions. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. And I will talk to you very soon. God bless America. Continue to pray for this president. Continue to pray for this country. We cannot allow the globalists to take this country. Be prepared for anything. We could see terrorism. We could see a collapse. We could see a bank run. We could see an EMP. We could see anything possibly take place now. We are living in times now. We are living in a time of good versus evil. So be prepared. Say your prayers. Get in shape. Take this opportunity to prepare every way you can. God bless you guys. I'll talk to you very, very soon.